everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Michaela, and I'm going today to do with you a new pattern, and really I'm so excited to this. The shooting day with my models is getting closer, and so the collection is getting much more beautiful. So I'm happy always to share the new patterns with you. So I am going to explain you a little bit um the pieces of the pattern, right? So I've got here the front piece, and this is my underbust band, and I've got here this is the lining as well. What I'm missing right now, I'm still missing actually my my elastic and my ruffle, because this top will be ruched in the middle. Sorry, my elastic to ruche in the middle, and my elastic for the underbust band, but I will get it out in the next video. I've got here that's my back piece as well with the lining. Yes, and what is so cute about this top, what we are going to do, I'm going to have this top with these cute ruffles. I did the bottoms with a nice ruffle, so I want to do the same for the top. So I'm going to apply it I'm going to apply it here, and they will be kind of like hanging down, so cute. And as well, they would be on the attached on the arm, like that to the side. Yes, I'm so excited about it. So I'm just going to show you how it will look pretty much. So I've got the ruffles cut, underbust cut, front piece, and obviously all the rest. And now we're going to start with the construction. So first things first, I am going to mark the center of my top where I'm going to ruche. Otherwise it's going to be quite difficult to mark it later. So I'm going to do these little dots, not too visual. I'm going to go with elastic over them, so that's not an issue. And I will be ruching it really right until the end. As you can see, the form of the top is quite curvy. That's because of the ruching. So that I've done on the lining part, right? And on the normal main fabric, it will not be visible. So first things first, I am going to have the lining turned with a facing right side facing me, and I'm deciding still on how to do the construction, what would be actually easier. But yeah, I am going to place the main fabric on top of my lining, right sides facing together, and we are going to do actually a give me a minute because I want to check how I'm going to apply my ruffled in the easier way. Okay, so yes, I needed a minute to decide. I've decided first to attach the ruffle to my top, so I'm going to pin, right, starting from here. I'm going to pin pretty much until the center, right? I will leave perhaps a finger. I'm going to pin like that. My my ruffle band, and then the rest will be hanging like this, right? And I am going to do exactly the same thing to the other side. I'm going to pin pretty much until the center, more or less. so you can have an idea how it will look like. It has this beautiful twirl, right, like that. So they are both hanging like this. So now I'm going to do a bust stitch over on the both sides. They will not be united, these two pieces, they will be separated, right? But I will do a bust stitch first, and then I will continue with the construction on adding the lining and start stitching. But I wanted first to do the ruffle. Okay, so I've done the bust stitching to my ruffles on the front piece, on the main fabric, right, on the lycra, and now we can actually start with the proper construction of the top. And I'm placing practically the lining on top of my lycra, but I prefer always the lycra to be on top. So what I'm going to do, I am going to pin all around the neckline and the underarms. So I'm going to pin this bit like that. And I want to make sure that I'm not getting any of the ruffles in between, right? Any bulky fabric whatsoever. So I'm pinning the neckline, and I will be doing a bust stitching, and as well afterwards I'm going to serge it, and I'm going to add elastic. If you do not have a serger or an overlocker, you can always use your zigzag stitch on a normal sew machine. It's absolutely fine, no problem, gives about the same look overall. And adding the elastic, it's always optional, but I highly recommend it. For me, I just feel like there is more support, and I would say the parts feel that they last longer having the elastic added. Okay, so I've pinned these bits already, and now I'm going off camera, and I am going to bust stitch, and I'm going to show you how I'm adding elastic. I will probably be adding the elastic already to the sides, to the underarm, and on camera I will show you how I add the elastic on here, right? So like what you see, I've pinned. I'm going to do a bust stitch, and afterwards I'm going to serge and add elastic. Okay, so I've already done the bust stitching, and I've added the elastic off camera, and I just wanted to tell you that once I've done the bust stitching, I always make these little cuts into my fabric to allow stretch to my fabric. Obviously, a bust stitch is meant to just hold the fabrics together, the few layers, 1 or 2 or 3 layers of fabrics together. At least this is my meaning. So afterwards I'm making these cuts into it, so I am allowing stretch to my fabric. So now I'm going to my serger, and I am going to add the elastic. Like you see, I do have obviously an elastic guide, and that really makes my life much easier, and the process actually much easier. I'm not pulling whatsoever, I'm just guiding the fabric. Like that. And now the next step will actually be on adding the straps. So I've got actually really enough strap, but obviously I will be giving you the right measurements on how much how long should be the straps, but I usually always sew a very long one, and then I'm going down from that. So what I'm going to do, I am taking this nice safety pin, and I will be placing it with the wrong side, because my fabric is actually made, this is a normal spaghetti strap, but I have my fabric done with so it's a foiled fabric, so I've done the spaghetti strap with my cover stitch. So what I'm going to do now, I'm practically just introducing the spaghetti strap into it, and then I'm going to do a few stitches back and forth. I always like to insist on these stitches because I think it is under a lot of pressure, so it's always good to make sure that they hold. So I'll be doing this on the other side, and once I'm done, I'll show you how I will attach the back piece. Okay, so I've added the straps, the both straps on my top and on the front piece. For the moment, I will put it aside, right? And I'm going to continue with the back piece. And as you can see, I've already marked where the straps will actually have to go. So I'm placing the main fabric lycra on top of my lining, and I'm going to pin just the upper part of the back piece. So I'm going to pin. Once I'm done, I'm going to do a bust stitching, and then I'm going to add elastic, and I will be doing all that off camera since I don't want this video to be endlessly long. So like I said, pin, bust stitch, adding elastic. To add afterwards the strap, I will actually unstitch because this is just so easier for me, but that's a step a little bit later. First we will do just this upper part of the top. So it seems like I didn't press play. So I've got here my top, sorry, I've already done one side. So I've placed, I'm going to show you, that's my front piece, like that, that's the front piece. And I've placed the back piece on top of my front piece, matching main fabric lycra with the lining. And I have here the seams, and I want to match the seams together perfectly. And I'm going to do a bust stitching. Since this is obviously quite helpful to maintain all the layers together. So I do this before I'm serging, and when I get here to the seam, because I want that it matches quite close to perfect, I'm going to hold it in place with my finger as much as I can, and I go slow that I'm not sewing on top of my finger. Yeah, and then I just continue all the way till the end. And look how beautiful they match together. Now I'm going to my serger, and I'm going to serge both sides. And since this is a fast step, I'm going to do this first. I'm not adding elastic, so I'm just serging over this bust stitching seam. That's one, and now I'm going to do the other side. And now we are going to separate the two parts, right? Like this. And you see where I've marked here on my back piece, this is where I'm actually going to introduce my my straps. So what I'm going to do, and this will be pretty much off camera, I'm going to turn it like this on the wrong side, and I'm going to unstitch in this part. So I'm going to unstitch about a centimeter, not too much, because obviously it just needs to fit in the strap. So this is a quite far forward step. So I'll unstitch and then I'll show you how I introduce the steps. Okay, so I've got already unstitched my parts in the back piece, and I'm going to show you how to introduce the straps. So I turn the top on the right side and I take the strap. This is the easiest way for me to do it. I take the strap and I will be introducing it into the hole I've created. So I place it exactly like that from inside towards the outside. This is just the easiest way for me to do it. And then I go straight to my sew machine, and I'm doing first, once again, a back stitching. And afterwards I'm going to remove this extra bit, and then I go to my serger, and from my serger I'm just going to go to serge it over, so everything is really secure. Once I've done this, I trim the threads, and I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So once I've done this, I'm going to do it off camera. I'm going to pin all along the bottom part, and I'm going to do a bust stitching all along this bottom part of my top. Just this is going to help to secure the two layers of fabric when I'm going to add the waistband. Okay, so the next step will be actually attaching the waistband, and I am going to show you how I do it. I take first the elastic band, and well, let me just say it's optional, the elastic band, but I always add it for a better support. So what I did, I actually placed the one ending on top of the other ending to create a continuous circle. And now I take my lycra and I'm going to place it on top of each other, and facing the right side together, I'm going to serge the ends together. Like this. And now I'm going to place the elastic inside on inside of my lycra band, and I'm going to pin starting from the seam, because I want the seams always to be very much aligned. So I'm going to start pinning. I'm going to pin all along, and I'm going to do a bust stitching as well to prepare the serging of my underbust band to the top. I know I still have one more ruffle to add. That will be actually quite easy, but first I want to finish with the waistband and overall the construction. Of course, the ruffles are always optional. You can add just the ones to the side or the ones in the center. I decided to go for both of them. So yes, I've pinned already whilst I was talking to you. Now I'll be bust stitching quickly, and then I come back to show you how I'm attaching it to the top. Okay, so the underbust band is prepared to be added, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually place it on top of my um, on top of my top, over the top, right? And I'm going to go all along and pin it, right? And please remember that the underbust band is slightly shorter than the rest of the top. So when you're pinning it, you will have to kind of like stretch a little bit the underbust band so it fits the top good when you're sewing. And pinning is really helpful before actually attaching it, because you can still see whether you have to adjust it or not. And this moment you have to be also very careful. You see, so here I'm left with quite a good piece, so I'm going to try to stretch it out a little bit more when I'm attaching it. So like that. So now it's already much more uniform. So now I'm going to my serger, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to serge it all along. I don't need to add obviously any other elastic, so I'm placing it under my elastic under my foot, and I'm just going all along, removing the needles once I'm obviously sewing, serging. Like that. And once I attach always the underbust band, I like always to do a top stitch in order to kind of like hide the seam on the inside. So now I'm going to my cover stitch. If you do not have a cover stitch, you can do this with your normal sew machine on the zigzag. So what I'm doing, I'm taking this seam and I'm turning it like kind of like towards the elastic area, right? And I'm placing it under. This is an optional step, you can choose not to, but I don't like the feeling of the seam underneath when I'm wearing the top. So I prefer to always kind of like hide the seam. And I want to make sure that obviously there is no bulking fabric underneath or whatsoever. So I'm going slow and I'm feeling it with my finger that the seam is actually underneath, right, like I've been showing you. Okay, so once I'm done with this, I will come back to show you the next step. Okay, so the next two steps are going to be the ruching of the top and adding the shoulder ruffle piece, right? And actually what I've done already one side, and I'm going to show you how to do the other side. So I take one piece and I place it on top of my top, and it's quite like I would place it prolonging the other one. Anyways, they are not connected together, right? But I place it really close to the other one, and I just try to go as close as I can to the edge, right? And it's just a few stitches, actually, as you can see, really 2 fingers. So I am trying to go as close as I can to the edge, going slow. Okay, that's one part. And as you can see, I've changed my color of my thread because I don't want it to be very visible on the pink. Obviously, the white on the pink does not look the best. And if you do have like a little edge, just trim it gently, I want to say, without cutting anything else, like this. That's perfect. And on the other side, so now I'm going all along this bit, right? And then I will be placing it in the same way, but since this side is easier now to turn it, I'll be turning it, and the same, I'm going as close as I can to the edge, and I place the needle under, and the same. If I need to trim, I will be trimming, although not an issue whatsoever. So now we have this beautiful shoulder bands, and the last bit will be actually ruching it with elastic. Please have in mind that this design is made to be ruched with elastic, so that's not optional. And I'm switching back to my white thread right now. And I've increased my stitch length, although I will decrease it a little bit. So like I said in the beginning, I have this part which is already marked, right? So I'm placing the elastic just right on top of it, and I start doing a few seams. Then I increase my stitch width on max, and I pull the elastic as much as I can until the end. I'm stitching. Sorry, somebody's ringing the bell. So this is the final result. Sorry, somebody was ringing in the bell, so I couldn't show you the ending of this ruching, but as you can see, it's all done. I've done it almost right until the end. I've left just a finger over. You can do it until the end if you wish. You just can leave a little bit of a finger. And I've got here the middle ruffles, and they look so beautiful together. I am so in love with this top. I can't wait for the shooting day.